All right. Namaste.
नमस्ते दीदी।
नमस्ते दीदी।
Good to see you
नमस्ते।
at home. Yeah, everybody. Like, good to see Pulkit. Good to see Suruchi. Rare occasion we get to see her. And Tanya also at home. Wow, wow, very nice. Excellent. बिंदी नहीं लगाई. अगली बार. All right. Tanya, will you just, like, it was a short class last time. There were very few things discussed. Can you just, like, give us a quick thought or any questions, anybody?
जी दीदी। So दीदी, it was mostly we all discussed about how do we feel about judgment. Everybody shared their experience on judgment, and one of the things that came out that irrespective of which part of the spectrum we are in that whole judgment idea, whether we think that we are not good enough or we are on the other end where we feel that we are better than other persons, and we see us as better off and see limitations in other. You said that irrespective where you are, it's the same journey. Like, we have to again constantly work on our mind, and mind is a very powerful tool, but it works against our goals. So we have to really do a lot of, again, that swadhyay or through satsang. We need to again work on that. And so that was a big discussion around judgment. And it is always nice to see that from personal experience. But I feel that I can clearly see there are certain aspects in my life also where I feel that I'm not good enough and I have these complexes about myself. But there are other aspects where I can now see, and I'm so aware of how I function from a space of ego when I say something. But at least that reflection is there, that you address that, oh, why I had to say this, or why did I feel. So that's one step I would say is still a progress. And as sadhaks, it's easy for us to fall into the trap of judgment also, because हमें लगता है कि हम तो कुछ मतलब we are better than other people. But I think that it was a good takeaway for us to hold on. For me, like that judgment part. Then of course we talked about gunas again, that how they are so cyclical in nature and everything plays out. And again, it's a constant work. If we do sattvic activities and still tamas would play out, mind is rajasic. So because I had a question and now it's clear that about that. So these were the two big takeaways in terms of the first discussions that we had. And then you started about the second shloka, in which we talked about Shraddha and Vishwas. That Shraddha is the Devi Bhavani is the representation of Shraddha, and Lord Shivaji is the representation of Vishwas. And of course, Shloka Didi, you'll explain, but you explained what is the definition of a Siddha. Somebody who has mastered the matter, the five elements, is considered to be Shraddha, to be Siddha, and that would be somebody as basic, somebody like a mason who works around, like soil element and the other, or it could be a magician. And you said that even Siddhas also, in order to touch that, there was a term, Didi, which again I got, antahkaran, in order to get in touch with their true consciousness, despite of the fact that they have risen above the matter, or they have at least kind of understood the element of matter, still they need that Shraddha and Vishwas to kind of get in touch with their true consciousness. So Didi, that was the overall like.
Very well done. Nice, nice, nice recap. Can you just shift a little bit, Deepa? Just so I can see. Yes, thank you. That's perfect. Excellent. Any questions, beta?
Didi, just one question, and you kind of answered it, but I was just trying to understand that in this shloka, of course, you said that in the classes we'll discuss more about it. When we study, let's say, Patanjali Yoga Sutra, where the format is that Maharishi Patanjali first explain about the problem and then the solution. And in every the shloka that what we study, he say that it is not for a common person, it is for sadhak, let's say, because at least, that is where we understand that. Here, आपने वैसे बोल दिया एंड में कि अगर हम सिद्धा नहीं भी हो पाएंगे तब भी एटलीस्ट श्रद्धा और विश्वास को तो हम होल्ड ऑन कर सकते हैं, एंड दैट इज नॉट इवन आवर गोल टू बिकम सिद्धा और तो इसमें रामचरितमानस में जब गोस्वामी तुलसीदास जी ने लिखी इसको, और उन्होंने उसको लोकल लैंग्वेज में इसीलिए लिखा कि वो कॉमन इंसान तक जो शायद सीधा नहीं है, या जो कि हु इज डूइंग सत्संग या वो कथा पढ़े भगवान जी की, तो वो उससे कनेक्ट कर पाए। तो यहाँ पे उन्होंने सिद्धा का मेंशन सिर्फ इसलिए किया कि कोई इतना इवॉल्व भी हो, जिसने मैटर को स्टडी कर लिया हो, स्टिल उसे श्रद्धा और विश्वास चाहिए, या वो शुरू से ही एक, मतलब आई डोंट नो इफ आई हैव बीन एबल टू आर्टिकुलेट इट, कि उन्होंने यहाँ पे व्हाई डिड ही मेंशन सिद्धा, जबकि अभी तक हम अ, पढ़ते आ रहे हैं कि मतलब आप सत्संग करो, आप भगवान जी की कथा करो, याद करो, तो भी यू कैन जस्ट काइंड ऑफ यू कैन स्टिल नेविगेट थ्रू लाइफ। तो मैं वो एक चीज में सोच रही थी कि ये इसका कोई स्पेशल सिग्निफिकेंस है यहाँ पे।
बहुत अच्छा क्वेश्चन है, वेरी नाइस क्वेश्चन, एंड यू डीपली थॉट अबाउट इट, ओनली देन यू कैन आस्क दिस क्वेश्चन, सो आई एम वेरी ग्रेटफुल दैट यू थॉट अबाउट इट। बेटा म्यूट कर देना उसको।
हम म्यूट है, पता नहीं क्यों। आई जस्ट वांटेड टू सी एवरीवनस फेस, बट आई गो ऑफलाइन, इट्स ओके।
सो जब हम भक्ति करते हैं, और भक्ति का मेन गोल श्रद्धा, और श्रद्धा से विश्वास होता है, और विश्वास से भगवान बनते हैं, ठीक, इतना तो सबको समझ में आ गया। जब हम भक्ति करते हैं तो एक हीन भावना भी आ जाती है। हीन भावना, when you become, as you grow in your devotion, you become smaller and smaller. Yes, it's a natural thing to happen. You become smaller and smaller, and in your smallness, then everybody looks greater, bigger, more fortunate. So there are two kinds of people in the world. One are those people who are very accomplished, who are learning, who are on ज्ञान योग, साधक, साधना कर रहे हैं, सिद्धि कर रहे हैं, सिद्धि की तरफ बढ़ रहे हैं। अब इनकी तकलीफ ये है कि जब ये लोग सिद्धि करते हैं या साधना करते हैं और सिद्ध सिद्ध हो जाते हैं किसी भी चीज में, इनकी तकलीफ ये है कि इनके पास ईगो की प्रॉब्लम आ जाती है। और ईगो की प्रॉब्लम की वजह से श्रद्धा और विश्वास थोड़ा डगमगा जाता है, दिक्कत होती है वहां तक पहुंचने में। या सो अब महर्षि तुलसीदास ने, जब गोस्वामी तुलसीदास जी ने ये लिखा, तो दोनों की तरफ से लिखा कि तुम किसके लिए लिख रहे हैं, वो तो अपने लिए लिख रहे हैं ना। तुलसीदास जी रामचरितमानस की चर्चा अपने लिए कर रहे हैं, उनकी ऑडियंस कौन, वो खुद है अपनी ऑडियंस, है ना। तो जब उन्होंने अपने लिए लिखा और अपने पर्सपेक्टिव से लिखा, अपने घाट से लिखा, तो उन्होंने कहा कि होंगे सिद्ध, पर उनको भी ये तकलीफ होती है, अपनी ही वो भक्ति भाव में है, और भक्त हमेशा थोड़ा अपने आप को छोटा बना के चलता है। देर इज अ लिटिल स्मॉलनेस इन भक्ति। हम्म तो वो उसकी वजह से उन्होंने जब ये कॉन्वर्सेशन लिखी, ये कि जो सिद्ध हैं उनको भी तकलीफ होती है। अब दूसरी तरह के लोग जो भक्ति में छोटे हैं, जैसे हनुमान जी, वो भूल जाते हैं कि उनके पास कितनी शक्ति है। वो भूल जाते हैं कि उनके पास, ये याद है ना, समुद्र के किनारे भगवान भूल गए कि वो जा सकते हैं। सबने बताया, मैं जा सकता हूँ, मैं जा सकता हूँ, मैं जा सकता हूँ, मैं जा सकता हूँ, मैं उड़ के जा सकता हूँ, मैं एक बार जा सकता हूँ, मैं वापस नहीं आऊंगा। सबने बताया कि मैं जा सकता हूँ। हनुमान जी भूल गए, वो इतने छोटे बन गए कि वो भूल गए कि वो भी जा सकते हैं। जा क्या सकते हैं, उड़ सकते हैं, और उड़ क्या सकते हैं, वहां तक क्या, कहीं भी उड़ सकते हैं, वो तो सूरज तक पहुंच सकते हैं। तो लंका तो क्या ही बात। क्योंकि वो भक्त हैं, इसलिए वो भक्ति में भूल गए। अब भक्त की प्रॉब्लम ये है कि वो भूल जाता है कि उसके अंदर बहुत शक्ति है। सो श्रद्धा तो बहुत रहती है, विश्वास में कमी आ जाती है। किसके ऊपर विश्वास? भगवान के ऊपर तो बहुत विश्वास है, अपने ऊपर विश्वास खत्म हो जाता है। तो ये हीन भावना जो है, जहाँ ईगो आ जाए, तो भी आप वहां तक नहीं पहुंच सकते जहां तक आपको पहुंचना है। और अगर ये ज्यादा हम अपने आप को छोटा कर लें, तो भी किसी को जगाने की जरूरत पड़ेगी कि जागो जागो, तुम जा सकते हो, तुम कर सकते हो, तुम्हारे अंदर दम है। हम्म? तो the full manifestation of of a devotee is a good example in, everybody is a devotee in Ramayana, but a good example is हनुमान जी। अगर ठीक से अच्छी तरह से डिवोशन है तो बहुत अच्छा एग्जाम्पल है हनुमान जी का। तो उनको जगाने की जरूरत पड़ती है, और बाकी लोगों को याद दिलाने की जरूरत पड़ती है कि भाई, ये तुम सिद्ध तो जरूर हो, पर हो नहीं वहां तक। सो बोथ पीपल नीड रिमाइंडर, और ये श्रद्धा विश्वास का रिमाइंडर इस दोहे के, इस कपलेट के साथ गोस्वामी तुलसीदास जी ने दोनों को दिया। है ना, आप देख रहे दोनों ऑडियंस है, कि जिसके पास सिद्धि है उसको भी अंतःकरण में श्रद्धा और विश्वास ढूंढने में दिक्कत होती है, नहीं मिलते भगवान। और जिसके पास श्रद्धा है उसको याद दिलाना पड़ता है विश्वास, आगे भी चलो, है ना, रहो, अपने अंदर भी रहो। तो और सिद्धि जिसके पास है उससे तुम डरो मत, तुम छोटे नहीं हो। तुम ये मत सोचो कि तुम छोटे हो, कि जो सिद्धि वाले हैं वो भी नहीं कर पाते। तो दोनों ऑडियंस के लिए गोस्वामी तुलसीदास जी ने श्रद्धा और विश्वास का एक्सप्लेनेशन लिखा है यहाँ पे, कि नहीं मिलता आराम से, कुछ को याद दिलाने की जरूरत पड़ती है और कुछ को कुछ भूलने की जरूरत पड़ती है। Does that make sense? So very nice question. Why? रामचरितमानस इज नॉट रिटन फॉर एनी वन काइंड ऑफ पर्सन। जब हम योगा सूत्र पढ़ते हैं तो योगा सूत्र में हम बोलते हैं कि थोड़ा सा साधक होना चाहिए, तब उसकी पात्रता बनती है। रामचरितमानस ऐसी है कि पात्रता की कोई हम तो ऑफ कोर्स वी आर वर्किंग ऑन पात्रता, मगर ऐसा कोई नहीं है जो नहीं कर सकता। अगर सिद्ध है तो भी कर सकता है, ज्ञान योग पे, ज्ञान मार्ग पे चल रहा है तो भी पढ़ सकता है, भक्ति मार्ग पे चल रहा है तो भी पढ़ सकता है, कर्म मार्ग पे चल रहा है तो भी पढ़ सकता है ना। ऐसा कोई नहीं है जो इसका सेवन नहीं कर सकता, कैन नॉट पार्टेक इन रामचरितमानस। तो पूरी ऑडियंस को ध्यान में रखते हुए गोस्वामी तुलसीदास जी ने, और ये बड़ा कॉमन, ये बड़ा सेंट्रल थीम है श्रद्धा और विश्वास का। हम इतने महीने से जो ये काम कर रहे हैं रामचरितमानस पे, इसी पे काम कर रहे हैं, श्रद्धा और विश्वास। So not, he's not saying that it is only for siddhas. He is not saying it is not for devotees. He's just saying some people need to be reminded to forget, and some people need to be reminded to remember. Excellent. Very nicely done. तो recap तो हो गया. Any questions? Any thoughts, any takeaways that stuck with Suruchi? You did a nice revision. You had some questions you want to share?
I haven't finished. Sorry. I haven't finished the entire chapter yet, but basically what I got from it was that you drop the ego. Sorry. Yeah. Yikes. Sorry. You drop the ego and you keep whatever narrative there is as his will. So like you were saying, if you got this ego about, you did something and somebody's done really better than you, and you are the teacher. So you keep that envy out of it, because that also is his will. And the other way around, if I keep on finding faults in others, then that, I don't know how to put this correctly, but you don't take responsibility for it. You take responsibility, whatever is happening. If I'm envious of somebody, then I haven't mastered what I'm listening to. Whatever is happening is because of His grace. If I something is happening good, if I feel I am so good and I can do this, that is His grace. And if somebody is doing something which I think is not as good as he should be doing, that's not up to me. That's His grace. Who am I? Everything happens because of grace, not me, my ego, myself.
And what was discussed extensively, especially when we were talking, Sonal and I,
Yeah.
was that as you grow, as you become responsible for people, um, there are many layers of ego that comes, right? As a teacher, you would know that. I taught, I helped succeed, right? So
Yeah.
to be watchful as a student that you shouldn't have ego, easy. To be watchful as a teacher, as a manager, as a supervisor, to not have ego, you see many strains of ego. You don't realize that's ego. And also you see many strains of envy. You see many strains of jealousy. You see many strains of asuya. Like, Deepa sitting here, we were doing chanting. Um, बहुत अच्छा करती है, पर कहीं एक गलती हो गई, उससे रोका नहीं गया, अपने आप को ठीक किया मैंने उसको। अब नहीं भी करती तो क्या फर्क पड़ता। Like some student is parroting Spanish very nicely, made one small mistake. A gracious teacher would let it pass and say, very well done. I am still learning. I'm not a gracious teacher, so I'll still point out, ये गलती किया, ये गलती किया, ये गलती किया, ये गलती किया, ये गलती.
But isn't that the role of the teacher?
Yes, I'm just saying there are layers and
Yes.
levels, and we still, all of us have to grow.
Yes.
And when you are a teacher or you're responsible for more people, you can see yourself much better, because not only are you responsible for yourself, but you're also responsible for other people. There's a lot more interaction. Does that make sense?
Perfect.
There's a lot more to be seen about yourself.
Okay, another thing, a question I have is that there was something about not finding faults in yourself because God made you perfect.
That was Niranjan's question, I think.
Yes, exactly. It was. Yeah.
It was Niranjan's question. So should we have a drishti for ourselves where we are always, and I keep pointing that you have ego, you have ego, you have ego. So is the goal to constantly find faults with ourselves? That's not the goal. That's not the goal, to find faults. The goal is to recalibrate yourself constantly. It's not putting yourself down, which is important. Because if you put yourself down, that heen bhavna that I was just talking about, you start feeling small and inadequate. But you have the same tools as anybody else. So continue to recalibrate, refix, realign yourself to the right. Does that make sense?
Yep. Perfect.
Yeah. It's like when you do proofreading, the goal is not to find faults, like Monica will tell you. A young editor will look at it like that. A seasoned editor will look at it differently. Just realigning, recalibrate, realign. It's not about you did this wrong. You can also do it like this. So when you are starting your journey of sadhana, when you will know this, you can relate to this. When you start your journey in spirituality, maybe I'll say you're just starting. Yeah. So when you start your journey, you realize you have a lot of ego. Your first phase, when you come in front of a teacher, like last year, Khushbu joined us. So she had a lot of questions. So first phase is of a lot of ego because you think you know. And what you know is right. Correct? So in the first phase, what happens is the teacher will tell you you are wrong. And that is not because it is fault finding. It is because you need to come down a few notches from the ego. But once you have come down, once there is a complete surrender, then the teacher needs to be circumspect and not continue to work out of their vasanas. Does that make sense?
Perfect. No, my question, yeah. So, but when he asked the question, when you answered, I didn't quite understand. I do now that don't find faults in yourself, just what you call recalibrate and move on. I don't
Correct.
like this about myself, recalibrate, move on. I don't like this about myself, recalibrate, move on.
Correct. But if ever you do find ego in there,
Mm-hmm.
that is the place where you need to beat yourself down. So you can change vision,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't allow the weed of ego to grow. दृष्टि बदल सकते हैं हम, मगर ये किसी को देखने का पर्सपेक्टिव बदल सकते हैं, मगर जो ईगो का फिल्टर है अगर वो आ गया तो फिर कुछ होगा नहीं आगे, तो ईगो तो काटना ही पड़ेगा. So for as long as you don't work from the me space, my space, I space, everything is recalibration. If you get into me, I, my space, then even I will beat you down. As you should yourself as well. Does that make sense? पुलकित राजे, कभी कभी चांस मिलता है. How about we talk?
Namaste.
Namaste.
Um, I mean, something that I took off again yesterday, I was listening to your video as a podcast, just walking from one class to another. So, whatever stays in my mind, it stays. So, one of the things that Tanya ji also said was Shraddha and Vishwas. And I mean, not even Ramcharitmanas, but whole life is, पूरी जिंदगी इन दो शब्दों पे टिकी हुई है, Shraddha and Vishwas. Apart from this, how will you exist? Like even in childhood, we had so much Shraddha and Vishwas towards our parents because like कुछ भी होता है कहीं पे भी जाते हैं मेले पे जाते हैं will be secure and safe because we have that devotion and faith towards parents. But I'm like, what if we have the same one to the supreme parents? You know what I mean? Even we are going somewhere, they'll take care of us. Like even if something happens, they'll kind of help us get out of the misery. You know what I mean? Just like our normal physical parents did. So I think yeah, Shraddha and Vishwas are two really important things to have. And I was talking to one of my friends yesterday and he was kind of sad and he goes like, what do you think keeps you going? I'm like, something that keeps me going is faith and devotion. That's the only thing, not only in God, but like, if you want to have it in your mother, that's fine too, or your teacher, that's fine too. So anyone bigger than you, that's what I took out of it.
Very nice. Very nice.
Um, I also, not like last class, but before that, you were also talking a lot about judgment and like, how you learn from like, other people, how we used to learn from mistakes from our parents, kind of, like my father is like kind of short-tempered, but I would never be like him because I know I don't want to be, short-tempered like him. He has good qualities, but I'm just saying how, like, I don't want to be like that. And then it's just I mean, we all kind of say judgment is wrong, but every single time we are judging, yapping with our friends, we are talking about this person, this life, this and that. But I try myself not to, especially I'm in college. So, college is full of drama and yapping. So we are always doing stuff. But I try my best. And I try my best to learn stuff from it rather than judging someone's personality, because it's their pace, it's their life, and it's their karma, and everyone have their different stuff and plan and project of life to go through. And one of the last things that like you were saying, like, more sadhana you do, you get ego and all that stuff, which is fair, because when everyone is going to parties and when I go back to my room and do chanting, oh, Pulkit Burma, 19 years old, you're doing prayer, such a great human being. That, but then I फिर उसके बाद इस माइंड से ही आता है, फिर दूसरे माइंड में आता है, ओ अगर श्रृंगा दीदी यहाँ होती तो she would be like, get your shit together. So it's just that I try my best to balance my thoughts. Sometimes I'm so keen, I'm so down. I'm like, okay, I can't do music, I can't do design, I can't do business. What do I do? But at the same time, so it goes like like a roller coaster. But I'm trying to balance it out, and I think Shraddha, devotion, and kind of learning from other people will help with that. So that's pretty much it.
Excellent, excellent. Always a pleasure listening to you. Hey, Hina beta, any thoughts, Raji?
Namaste, Didi.
Namaste, Didi.
I think a lot of it was covered. Courtesy
Really
Tanya,
sorry.
she explained it beautifully. But एक चीज थी जो मैं श्रद्धा और विश्वास में बोलूंगी, that once you get onto the path, आपने कहीं बोला था कि विश्वास देखने से बढ़ता है. तो अगर आप वो पाथ पे चढ़ते तो God gives you experiences, right? And when you experience things firsthand, obviously वो विश्वास और भी बढ़ता है, and you want to continue on that path. So that is something that I tell myself. विश्वास हिलता रहता है, but just keep on, and God will show His grace, and just be humble towards it. एक और चीज, probably I'll refer back to the class before that, जहाँ पे आपने बोला था कि be selfish and try to become part of God's story in every kind, right? कभी कभी to humble yourself, God will say, चल तू नहीं बनती ना, मैं तेरी स्टोरी में पार्ट बन जाता हूँ. I don't know if it makes sense.
It does.
So
It does.
I mean, it's God is so gracious, because sometimes He also pulls you. He also pulls you towards Him, right? And it's as you say, it's a journey. Just keep at it, and yeah, you will just grow. So these are my two things that I would like to share today.
Excellent. Excellent, Raji. Monica, thoughts, Gudiya?
Namaste, Didi.
Namaste, Gudiya.
I'm overwhelmed. I mean, I loved what Pulkit just shared.
Mm.
It was like, he's so much younger, and it's like, that thing, it keeps on like flitting one spot to the other, to the other. And of course, Tanya said it, articulated it so beautifully, and so did Suruchi and everybody. But I don't know why I'm stuck on that Chitrakoot, which you told us. I can't get out of it. I always imagine, as a child, reading literature, I've always been reading, writing, whatever. It's like this beautiful, this space where you imagine yourself, you're completely like in bliss.
Mm.
And when you describe Chitrakoot with all the components that go into forming it, it was like, yeah, that is my space. I'm no longer Alice in Wonderland. I've actually arrived at that garden, that beautiful garden that, you need to actually do that full surrender. And it's amazing because, and somewhere I felt a lot of people articulated a bit of both Gita and Ramayana together.
Yeah.
I actually felt it like, amalgamate in some way.
Mm.
And obviously it's interconnected and everything. But yes, and this beautiful thing that you told us about, being part of the narrative. Like Tulsidas, she is both the narrator as well as a participant, as well as a character. So I was trying, being a person of who emerges from writing and all, I was just trying to understand how, and it was so seamless. And I'm interestingly reading the Ramayana myself these days, rereading it maybe for the fifth, 10th, I don't know how many times. But it's interesting, and the way you brought it about, that each character sometimes just कोई भी दोहा किसी को भी attribute हो जाता है और वो suddenly it just fits in so beautifully. And abhi bhi, I don't know, I'm sorry, Hina said that sometimes God just makes you a participant inadvertently. You just feel that, oh, you are fitting in so beautifully in this situation.
Okay.
So it's like, these beautiful thoughts which come, and yes, they intrigue, but because so much is being said, putting it all together, combining it, sometimes, yes, it is becoming a bit of a thing, because, it's like Ramayana and Gita, you're trying to sort of merge. And I see a lot of thoughts being articulated because I see a lot of people attending both the classes. So it's inadvertent. But yeah, for me, coming back, that Chitrakoot is something which I hope somewhere I'm able to reach, because that's like, in every Imtiaz Ali movie, there is this last line, there's a poetry on which that entire film is based, right? सो रॉक स्टार में वो था ना, कभी किसी समय कोई एक जगह है जहां मैं तुमसे मिलूंगा. So that yearning, that yearning, it's like whether you call it Sufism, whether you call it a lover's angst, whether you call it a devotee's, like a Mira's call or a Kabir's doha, it's like that angst, till that flame is alive, I feel we are there. And thanks for awakening it within us. I think that's what I'm taking away from all these discussions and these, because I cannot, sometimes I get very overwhelmed with these multiple thoughts. But eventually, I feel there's this little spark within us, and we are yearning in that sense of surrender. And, we are all trying to carve our own paths, find our own niche. And if you're, reach even, take even that first step, I think it's mission accomplished. And by the way, thank you for, trivializing us, pointing our flaws, because वो नहीं होता तो हम ईगो में तो अब तक धस के ना अंदर दब चुके होते उस अंदर. And thank you. Please keep on doing it. And not that, because you are the greatest teacher, I feel. A teacher who's not even able to find that ability to point out the flaws, what's the point of having a teacher then? Students तो वैसे ही अपने आप को इतने accomplished समझते ही हैं. In any case, we feel so entitled. Oh, we've shown up for class. That's our biggest achievement, Yeah, but please keep on trivializing, because we need that reset, that restart, realigning. So
Well
yeah,
said. Well said.
thank you.
Thanks. Sona, thoughts, Kuriya? How's your drive going?
Oh, it's fine. So I don't know if I have much more to add. Obviously, like I was talking to you a lot last time about of all of the things that I thought about Matsurya and like all of that and how to watch myself. And it's interesting because somebody else asked me like just yesterday, like last night, like how if unless you look at your trauma, how this is, somebody American, but also steeped in some philosophy. And he was like, well, how do you see yourself if you aren't able to look in a backward reflection of the world, And I said, well, the way that I look at it is, yes, you can look at yourself in a backward reflection, or you can have a teacher who's looking at you as you are now in every single moment, looking at you with fresh eyes every single time, but giving you that moment. And I was like, I think that's the best way. And so I just want to also reiterate what was just said, just about what you just kind of commented about how in the beginning you have to bring people down a little bit, and then you have to then it might be too much. And I'm so appreciative of the constant eyes, the Guru Tataksha of like you looking at us and being able to tell us. And that really helped me even the last time when you were helping with that. And just to kind of go into what Pulkit was saying is like through all of this, like I've been trying to teach my daughter faith and devotion, in this process of having the hurricane and our dogs being put down, and she's having a crisis of faith, right? Like she's 10, right? So she's never had major things happen, and suddenly these major things are happening and she doesn't really know how to deal with it. And
I would love to equip her as well as Pulkit is. Like, I know he's like older than her, but like if I could help her at her age to somehow feel that Shraddha and Vishwas that you've helped me have at a very deep level, it would be it's the most important thing. I think that beyond um even the gyan and the tapasya, like of course, like all those things, but those two things, if you can have them, then you can hold on to the lambana to like keep going. So yeah, that's where it came to me for me.
It'll happen. Niranjan, any thoughts, Rajay?
Pranam Didi. Yeah, I had a couple of thoughts. So the last two lectures you had basically said that we need to visualize God in our lives and like we need to make him real. And I tried to do that by reading the Ramayana by Sri Rajgopalachari, which I had since the kid. But it is just very precise. It doesn't have a lot of press. So then I remembered that we also have the 1987 Ramayana, and I searched for it on YouTube, and like the whole series is there. So I went through a bunch of episodes and uh, just like seeing how other people act in front of Ram, and like also how he acts, and also how Lakshman acts. Like there is such a contrast between the two. So when I was a kid, we had these videos on like cassettes, and like I always used to see the fighting videos at the end, but like I never saw the ones at the start. And I started going through quite a few of them. So that is one. So basically, that's how I'm trying to visualize him and trying to picture him. Um, and then that leads me to the second question, which is that did Ram know that he's an avatar of Vishnu or not? And I'm asking that because in some cases when he acts, it looks like he does, but in some cases it looks like he does not. And can he really go through the human experience if he knows he's an avatar of Vishnu? Like you won't say that like Krishna went through the human experience because like he always knew that he was Vishnu. But like with Ram, does he know that he's a just a person? He has actually lost his wife. He has actually gone through all of this. What's the way that we should see about this? So that's the second point. And third point is that we do a lot of intellectual exercises in here and a lot of knowledge passing, and that kind of helps us understand how we should act so that it how it's going to affect our future. But um, there are things that have happened uh, in our past for which we don't have explanation about why they have happened, or like for us or like for others. And for that, you have been saying that this is because of the karma from the past life. Our souls have decided that they want to go go through these experiences, and that's all why we are having this. And um, we need to have faith to be able to accept this, and uh, we need to have surrender, and because this cannot be completely explained intellectually.
Can I explain?
And for that, you need bhakti. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah, so those were all the points that I wanted to make.
Okay. See, first thing is, I'll answer your last question first. Human experience is not devoid of its tragedies, and it's it's a it's a hardship. It's not easy to live. No matter how privileged you are, uh, it is not easy to go through life for every individual. And sometimes hard circumstances in the human experience can manifest. For as long as you continue to hold on to your ego, those experiences will daunt you and will make you miserable and will make you question also why. Because the question why is associated with me. Deeply think about it better, you can. अगर me नहीं है तो why नहीं आएगा. So ego makes us think about this, or ego makes us miserable. If it is not my brother, if it is not my brother passing away, somebody else's brother passing away, am I miserable? I can have empathy. I can feel their pain for a few days. Like, I don't know what Suruchi is feeling. I have no idea. She just lost her mother. I don't know what it feels like. It's not an I experience. But when something bad happens to me, it's an I experience, and I start questioning. Right? I'm not questioning why Suruchi's mother has passed away. I'm not questioning why Deepa's brothers passed away. I'm not questioning tragic, hard events in anybody else's life except mine. Does that make sense? And I'm trying to find answers for my tragic, hard events in my life. The world can be starving to death. I don't care. I can be pretty insensitive about it. But if my child is handicapped or is born without functioning lungs or has just had to lose an arm, I start questioning the whole creation. So before we even start trying to justify why not, the question itself is coming because you're steeped in ego. If you were steeped in goodness and wanting to do the right or wanting to see perfection, then your vision will be beyond yourself, right? Then you would want to see everything be perfect, everything be good. Not even one flower should be withered. Every flower should be blooming. जैसे गौतम बुद्ध को जब बड़ा किया उनके पिताजी ने, सिद्धार्थ को बड़ा कर रहे थे, तो उन्होंने सब हटा दिया. सब कुछ परफेक्शन में होना चाहिए. ना बूढ़े नौकर होने चाहिए, ना बूढ़े, कुछ नहीं होना चाहिए, दिखना ही नहीं चाहिए इसको कि कुछ और भी होता है. सब परफेक्शन में. क्योंकि he was going to be a saint. He had no sense of ego. A saint is somebody who does not have a sense of ego. So for him, the whole world needed to be sanitized. He never saw anything out of place in the whole world. The difference between your vision and Siddhartha's vision is that had he seen even one, it didn't have to be his own. He would have the same question. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I would not encourage you to spend a lot of time trying to figure why. Because the why is always associated with me. तो उसको छोड़ दो. अब करना क्या, जो भी है, दुनिया जैसी भी है, उल्टी है, सीधी है, टेढ़ी है, जो भी धर्म है, whatever is your job today, you just do that. And do it to the best of your capability. If you have to take care of a sick mother, then you take care of a sick mother. If you have to take care of a sick dog, then you take care of a sick dog. The whole question, why, is completely ridiculous. If you have to take care of a sick plant, then you take care of a sick plant. the inadequacy that is around you, or the deprivation that is around you, if you can affect it, then you affect it positively. There is no need to question why. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then what was your second question? भूल गई मैं.
Did Ram know that he was an avatar of Vishnu? Or like did he go through the human experience?
The difference between the two avatars, Lord Ram and Lord Krishna, is not in their knowledge. The difference is in their expression of who they are. जब इंद्र ने वर्षा की तो भगवान ने गोवर्धन को उंगली पे उठा लिया. किसके लिए? Was he trying to protect himself?
For the village and the cows.
Yeah. अब भगवान राम का जो समय था, जो जो युग था, वो त्रेता युग था. Inherently, people had faith. God didn't have to go out of his way. Like Kevat also knows के पांव धोने हैं. वशिष्ठ जी लेने आए हैं. महर्षि वशिष्ठ comes to take them. He knows किसको लेने आए. और भगवान जा रहे हैं और सोने का नाटक कर रहे हैं कि मैं सो रहा हूं, देर तक सो रहा हूं. पर इससे किसी की भी नॉलेज कम नहीं हो रही है कि ये भगवान है. लक्ष्मण जी साथ में चल रहे हैं, उनको भी पता है भगवान के साथ चल रहे हैं. भगवान को दिखाने की जरूरत नहीं है कि वो भगवान है. और यहाँ भगवान द्वापर युग में अर्जुन साथ में भगवान के बैठा है. कभी कभी उसको याद आता है भगवान है, कभी कभी भूल जाता है, फिर बोलता है भगवान विराट रूप दिखाओ, मुझे पूरा भरोसा नहीं है, तुम विराट रूप दिखाओ. और हम तो कलयुग में हैं. जैसे अभी पुलकित ने बोला ना, कभी यहाँ कभी वहां कभी यहाँ कभी. तो जब वो समय था, त्रेता का समय था, तब भगवान को बोलने की जरूरत नहीं थी कि मैं भगवान हूं. उनको अ, लोग उनकी माया के साथ भी उनके ईश्वरत्व का और हिज डिविनिटी वाज विजिबल टू कॉमन मैन. अयोध्या के लोग पीछे चले गए कि हम भी साथ में वनवास जाएंगे. अयोध्या का कॉमन मैन पीछे जा रहा था, उसको पता नहीं था क्या भगवान है. और मैंने एग्जाम्पल दिया यहाँ पर अर्जुन का या दुर्योधन का. किसी का भी एग्जाम्पल लीजिए, भगवान आके समझा रहे तब भी वो मानने को तैयार नहीं भगवान है. सेना लेके चले गए दुर्योधन. ये क्या करेंगे? बिना सेना के इनके पास क्या पावर है? तो बार बार कृष्ण जी को बताना पड़ रहा है कि तुम बेवकूफ, मैं भगवान हूं. हर किसी की विदुर की आंखें नहीं है कि उनको दिखता है कि भगवान है ना. सो जो दृष्टि है, संजय की दृष्टि, विदुर की दृष्टि, वो कुछ ही लोगों के पास. कुंती की दृष्टि है ऐसी. हाँ, कुछ ही लोगों के पास दृष्टि है. महाभारत अगर हम पूरी पढ़ें कि वो लगातार जानते हैं कि भगवान है, भगवान ने कोई मिरेकल नहीं किया उनके लिए, पर वो फिर भी जानते हैं कि ये भगवान है. रामायण में भगवान ने कोई मिरेकल नहीं किया, हर कोई जानता है कि वो भगवान है. खाली एक समुद्र के सामने खड़े हुए कि चलो मैं अब तुम्हें सिखाता हूँ। एक नाव चलाने वाला जानता है, अयोध्या का छोटा छोटा बच्चा जानता है, चित्रकूट की चिड़िया और हिरन भी जानते भगवान। और आपको डाउट हो रहा है कि भगवान है कि नहीं है, उनको पता था कि नहीं? तो युग की बात है बेटा। जो सतयुग था वो अलग टाइम था, भगवान को आने की ही जरूरत नहीं पड़ी, सतयुग का तो कोई अवतार नहीं है। फिर भगवान आए, क्योंकि फेथ थोड़ा सा कम हो गया था। रामायण जब लिखी गई तो भगवान आए, पर लोगों को पता था भगवान है। भाई बन के रहे तो भी भगवान के भाई बन के रहे, अपनी मर्यादा में रहे सब। माँ बन के, बाप बन के, पति बन के, पत्नी बन के, सब मर्यादा में रहे। सबको पता है भगवान है, भगवान को नहीं पता वो भगवान है। एक पत्थर को भी पता था, जिसमें राम लिख दिया वो नीचे नहीं गया। वो त्रेता युग था। फिर द्वापर युग आया, किसी को पता ही नहीं था भगवान है। भगवान बार बार बोले मैं भगवान। अर्जुन जागो मैं भगवान। अच्छा अच्छा, हाँ हाँ समझ में आ रहा है भगवान, थोड़ा दिखाओ। सो युग की युग की वजह से भगवान अलग अलग तरह से अपने आप को कंडक्ट किए। इसमें उनका डिविनिटी क्वेश्चन नहीं हो सकता, उनकी नॉलेज तो बिल्कुल ही क्वेश्चन नहीं हो सकती।
Can I ask you a question? In the frame of something that you said in maybe it was Gita class about how um maybe Ram uh, Lord Rama had 14 kalas and Krishna had 16, is that correct? Um why I'm trying to remember the difference, but anyway, that was something else that I was reminded of when you were talking about that. But was it because at that time he didn't need all of those? All like he didn't need the same kalas as Krishna because of the time period? I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to bring together something else you said and I can't remember all of it.
You trying to bring together, you want me to remind you?
Can you remind me? Or remind everybody else? I don't know. Remind me as well.
ये सारे भक्तों की आर्ग्यूमेंट्स हैं, इसमें पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं है। 14 कला है, 16 कला है, 15 कला है, 7 कला है। हमारे पास कितनी कला है ये देख लो। कला का मतलब भी याद है? कला का मतलब टाइम। कला नहीं, काल। परफेक्शन कितनी तरह की हो सकती है? परफेक्शन के लिए काल चाहिए, टाइम। ना मुझे पता नहीं था निरंजन ने पीएचडी करी है। पीएचडी के लिए कितने साल लगते हैं राजे?
Depends on how good the student is.
है
For me, it took 7. It it depends. For me, it took 7.
7? नो, 3-4 साल तो लगते ही हैं, 2-3 साल तो लगेगा। अगर जीनियस भी जैसे शेल्डन कूपर भी पीएचडी करेगा तो कम
5
से कम
years.
2 साल तो उसको भी लगेंगे। फिक्शनल कैरेक्टर बट स्टिल व्हाटएवर। सो जितना टाइम आपको मिलता है उतनी आपकी परफेक्शन बढ़ती है ना? तो कितने टाइम के साथ कोई आया, कितनी परफेक्शन के साथ आया। जब लोग 200 300 400 साल जीते थे तो पूरा इतिहास, पूरे उपनिषद, पूरे वेद पढ़ सकते थे। अभी हम कहाँ पढ़ सकते हैं बेटा? एक रामायण की क्लास ही पूरी नहीं होती। मैं एक श्लोक समझाते समझाते इतना टाइम लग जाता है। और भगवान जो, अगर हम जरा डिटेल में अपनी माइथोलॉजी को देखें तो एक ब्रह्मा का साल और एक विष्णु का साल और एक शिव जी का साल, ये बहुत अलग अलग कैलकुलेशंस हैं। इन कैलकुलेशंस में हम पढ़ के इसका कोई फायदा नहीं बेटा, कि इसमें कितनी परफेक्शन है। अरे हम अपनी परफेक्शन देख लें, अपने पास सिर्फ 80 साल है, 80 years, जिसमें से आधे तो निकल ही गए, 40 तो हर ही किसी के हो गए होंगे, एक्सेप्ट पुलकित, ही हैज द एडवांटेज हियर। तो अब ये 40 में आगे क्या करना है, ये सोचने वाली बात है। सो कला, when I was talking, and this was in Lalita Sahasranam class, I was teaching kala and I was teaching Kal there. So out of context, it will not make sense. Kala is Kal. In how much time can you perfect a certain ability or tattva? So Lord Ram didn't want to show the ability to kill Putna, the ability to carry a chakra, the ability to, he didn't want to, he didn't need to. Because of the yug that he was in, he didn't need to. उन्होंने तो दूर से किसी की साड़ी पूरी नहीं करी। Like, he didn't need to. All right. Khushbu doesn't need to speak.
Namaste, Didi.
Namaste, Gudiya. Why we need to hear you?
So, my key takeaways were like when you said that we have not even scratched the surface. We talk about it. We talk about ego, have no judgment, but still I feel I have ego. Still I feel I have judgment. And bhakti is one part, sadhana is one part. And when you said that sadhana सबको easily digest नहीं होती, and it is very, very true. You build that stamina. Like when I started workout, I was doing with 2.5 kg dumbbells, and today I've come to 10 kgs dumbbell. So it is like that. We build it up, but sadhana also gives us ego, and Guru's presence um, keeps us at rooted, so that we don't build that ego. And one thing that you spoke to Sonal, that how it is important that we delegate things mentally. We create those channels. If we have to do a work, if we have to be a helper, so we don't do it and take charge of everything directly with our own hands, but we create those mental delegators, I would say, and become that influencer so that the other person become the thought process to work like that, if I'm getting it right. So I took it for my son that if I want him to have a little bit of whatever I want him to learn, so I become that influence and take that charge so that, you know, he can also start following the path and follow the process. And that was my key takeaway, that yes, I scratched the surface. And विश्वास को लेके I have a personal experience. I've realized that I don't know whether I have a relationship with God or not, but now I feel everybody, I can see Devi Ma in everybody. If I go to a Shiv temple, I see Devi Ma in him also. If I go to Ram's temple, I feel Ram is nothing but Devi Ma only. I feel even Hanumanji leads us to Devi Ma. Everybody leads us to Devi Ma. And with people, I've realized that I've started actually seeing Devi Ma in people. I feel If this person is behaving nicely with me, it's the grace of Devi Ma. If this person is not behaving nicely with me or troubling me, that means I need to learn something. So of late, with this is really happening with me. So for me, it's pretty good that then I tell myself, okay, I'm doing for Devi Ma. So I feel it's a good space to be in. This is reality, delusional, imagination. I don't know, but yeah, it's good right now to be in that space where I can see, I feel that everybody is Devi Ma. So this makes life very easy.
Mhm. There's nothing to say about that. That's everybody's personal relationship with God. How you deal with it, whether you say everybody is Devi Ma or Devi Ma holds everybody together, or it's chicken and egg. Excellent, excellent. जहां तक बच्चों की बात है ना, ये बच्चों की 2-3 लोगों ने बात की, but when it comes to children, you can only hope that they learn. Everybody is different. You can be a good example yourself, and maybe it takes a whole lifetime and the child still doesn't learn, right, Suruchi? No matter how you live, you cannot push your faith, your beliefs to your child because every single soul has a different path. Having said that, I want to also assure you as a parent that if you have lived a certain way, if you have believed certain things, whatever is your accomplishment, sooner or later, maybe after your passing also, your child will for sure embrace that. Otherwise, they will not be your child. They will be somebody else's child. So, as a parent, I can assure you that आपने जितनी साधना की, whatever is your sadhana, आपने जितना discipline रखा, whatever has been your discipline, your children, sooner or later, sometimes later, some children have a different learning curve than others. They will arrive, have faith. So don't try to push faith or religion or आराम से करता है बच्चा ठीक है, नहीं करता है तो भी ठीक है. जितना हम पुश करते हैं अगर वो एक्सेप्ट कर लेता है तो ठीक है, अगर नहीं एक्सेप्ट करता तो भी ठीक है. However you're parenting, whether your parenting style is like pushing it down the child's throat or your parenting style is a little bit at an arm's length, it doesn't matter. Sooner or later, the child will become that. There is absolute guarantee. That is the way of the world. Whatever you have accomplished as a mother, as a father, even as an elder sibling, sooner or later, it will percolate down in the family. करते रहो, हो जाए. दीपा बैठी है, अब अपने आप 2 टाइम दिया जलाती है ये नास्तिक लड़की, है ना? वो दादी करती थी, पूरी जिंदगी किया, तो अब ये करती है. तब तक नहीं करती थी जब तक दादी थी. So sooner or later, have faith, they'll be fine. They'll find the path. वो उनका थोड़ा अनकन्वेंशनल कुछ आने जाने का रास्ता हो सकता है, और वो पहुंच जाएंगे वहां पे. अगर भगवान ने आपको पकड़ के रखा है या आपने भगवान को पकड़ के रखा है, तो भगवान आपके बच्चों को छोड़ेंगे नहीं. So please have faith that it will happen for them. It may not happen through you, exactly like you, but it will happen for them, and in the same fashion it will happen for them. You may not be giving them uh, the luxury of the same guru or the same philosophy or the same path, but they will find it. If you've prayed to the goddess, they will also find the goddess. If you believed in the teacher, then they will also find a teacher. If you have believed in uh, whatever you believed in, they'll find it. I can assure you they will. So don't be overtly worried about them doing it today or not doing it today. You can try your very best, however you feel that you need to pass that knowledge on. And I'm not, this is not to say that you sit and never say anything to your children, but I'm just assuring you that it'll happen. Or when I was younger and I didn't really understand this, I had a crisis in my head all the time. Oh my God, our traditions are finishing. Oh my God, our knowledge is finishing. Oh my God, nobody knows anything. Oh my God, nobody. As I've grown on this path, it's my honest confession, I don't think anything is going anywhere. The traditions will be kept, the knowledge will be preserved. May not be in the same spaces, may not be in the same, it will be though. Because if the children are going to learn and are going to follow, then it stands to reason. It will be. जब हम लोग बचपन में मंदिर जाते थे तो भीड़ कम होती थी। आजकल तो बहुत ज्यादा भीड़ है, फेथ बढ़ ही रहा होगा। जब हम लोग छोटे थे, माय डैड वाज पोस्टेड इन JNK, और वो कुछ होता ही नहीं था। अर्धकुंवारी की गुफा में तो ऐसे ही हम जाके खेल खेल में निकल आते थे। आजकल तो इतनी 2 दिन की लाइन लगती है वहां पे। सो इंटरेस्टिंग। ऑलराइट, so I want to tell you 2 stories. Do we have the time? I want to tell you 2 stories nonetheless. If you have to go, go. एक तो एक सुनाती हूँ, अगर टाइम रहेगा फिर एक और सुन, एक फॉर श्योर। सो जब सुग्रीव को राज मिला, एवरीबडी नोज ना, सुग्रीव को राज मिला, बाली का वध हुआ। बाली वॉज सुग्रीव्स ब्रदर। तो बाली का वध हुआ, सुग्रीव को राज्य मिला, और भगवान ने बोला कि अब सुग्रीव तुम राजा हो, तुम राज्य करो, पर ये याद रखना कि सीता को ढूंढना। हम्म? सुग्रीव, रामायण में प्रसंग आता है कि बहुत दिन हो गए, भगवान वेट करते रहे कि सुग्रीव सीता को ढूंढने का कुछ प्रबंध करेगा। और कई जगह पे हमारे यहाँ जब लिटरेचर लिखा जाता है तो उसमें काफी डिटेल रहती है। तो वाल्मीकि रामायण में ये भी बताया गया कि बाली का वध किस टाइम पे हुआ और राज्य अभिषेक कब हुआ। ये समर का टाइम था और इस समर के टाइम के बाद राज्य अभिषेक होके भगवान ने बोला ठीक है सुग्रीव तुम राज्य करो, राज संभालो, अभी अभी राज मिला है, मगर सीता को ढूंढना है। तो और चातुर्मास के लिए भगवान चले गए राज्य छोड़ के। चातुर्मास हमारे यहाँ होता है, कब शुरू होता है? श्रावण से हाँ, कब होता है? श्रावण से शुरू होता है और दिवाली तक रहता है चातुर्मास। सो भगवान चातुर्मास के लिए अपना एक कुटिया बना के, तो वो उसमें क्योंकि वो वैसे भी वनवास में थे और वैसे भी चातुर्मास था, तो राज्य में नहीं रहे। सुग्रीव राजा था, राज्य में नहीं रहे, राजभवन में नहीं रहे, तो वो बाहर कुटिया बना के लक्ष्मण जी के साथ चातुर्मास के लिए वो चले गए। और 4 महीने हो गए, कोई पता नहीं है कि सुग्रीव ने क्या किया, सीता जी को ढूंढने के लिए उसने क्या किया, कुछ पता नहीं। तो भगवान ने पूरा श्रावण निकलने दिया, चातुर्मास भी निकलने दिया, और उसके बाद भी जब सुग्रीव का कोई पता नहीं चला कि वो आगे कुछ कर भी रहा है कि नहीं सीता जी को ढूंढने के लिए, तो भगवान की माया है, भगवान ने लीला करी, गुस्सा आ गया। बोले ये जिस बाण से मैंने बाली को मारा है उसी बाण से सुग्रीव को मार दूंगा। लक्ष्मण जी साथ में थे, लक्ष्मण जी बड़े खुश। वाह, कभी कभी तो वैसे शांत रहने वाले हमारे भगवान, कभी कभी तो गुस्सा आता है इनको। हम्म? तो भगवान के बारे में जब हम राम जी की बात करते हैं ना, उनके दो दो चीजें हैं उनके बारे में, एक उनका व्यवहार, स्वभाव, और उनका प्रभाव या शक्ति, है ना। वन इज हिज kindness and his conduct, and the other one his ability and his power. तो लक्ष्मण जी इज अ बिग प्रोपोनेंट कि भगवान की जो कंडक्ट है ना किसी को पता ना चले। ये इतने भोले हैं, इतने शरीफ हैं, इतने शांत हैं कि लोग इसका फायदा उठाते हैं। तो इसलिए लक्ष्मण जी बहुत खुश कि भगवान तो पहली बार गुस्सा हुए हैं किसी के लिए, बहुत अच्छी बात। So he's, if you go back and see Ramayana, you will find Lakshman ji is always like, okay, fine. अब गुस्सा करते हैं, काफी गुस्सा करते हैं, है नहीं उनके अंदर गुस्सा ऐसे, क्योंकि भगवान शांत है तो उसको बैलेंस करते रहते सारे टाइम। तो भगवान का जो स्वभाव है बहुत शांत, वेरी क्वाइट। तो इस स्वभाव के साथ भी भगवान उठे, 4 महीने वेट किया, 4 महीने के बाद उठे और बोला अब सुग्रीव को मार दूंगा। तो लक्ष्मण जी पीछे से बोले बहुत अच्छा किया भगवान, अच्छा बिल्कुल मार दीजिए, पर ये काम करिए, हो सकता है अंदर सोच रहे हैं कि हो सकता है इनको दया आ जाए, किसी वजह से रोक दें, फिर मारे ना। वो सुग्रीव तो ही डिजर्व्स। तो बोले कि आपने बड़े भाई को मारा, आप ये छोटे को मारने का काम मुझे दे दो, मैं करके आता हूँ, पूरा करके आऊंगा। सो अब भगवान तो ऐसे ही लीला कर रहे थे कि गुस्सा हो गए। तो हाँ ठीक है, मान गए लक्ष्मण जी की बात। फिर बोले लक्ष्मण, आ, हर कोई ना अस्त्र से नहीं मारा जाता। तो लक्ष्मण जी बोले मतलब कि देखो सुग्रीव तो इतना डरपोक है, अगर तुम उसको डरा दोगे तो वो डर से ही मर जाएगा। तो तुम ऐसा करो, जब तुम जाओ तो उसको मार के आना, पर डर से मार के आना। तो लक्ष्मण जी अंदर ही अंदर हंसने लगे, देखो कभी कर ही नहीं पाते, ये कोई काम कर नहीं पाते, अंदर से इतने सॉफ्ट हैं, इतने शांत हैं, किसी को मार मार थोड़ी सकते हैं। तो फिर हाँ हाँ ठीक है, पर ठीक से डरा के आऊंगा। तो लक्ष्मण जी फिर चलने लगे, तो फिर भगवान ने बोला रुको लक्ष्मण, वो ऐसा है ना सुग्रीव, एक्चुअली वो डरता, इतना डर जाता है कि वो बाली ने डराया था तो वो भाग गया था। इतना मत डराना उसको कि वो भाग जाए, इतना ही डराना कि वो यहाँ पर वापस आ जाए। मतलब डराने की भी एक सीमा है, इतना मत डराना कि काम ही ना करे बिल्कुल। तो कभी किसी ने ना हनुमान जी से पूछा कि ये राम जी के पाँव में तो आप गिरते तो ठीक है, राम जी के पाँव में गिरते हैं, सुग्रीव की क्या सेवा करने में लगे रहते हैं पूरे टाइम, इसमें क्या खास है, तो डरपोक है, डर जाता है, भाग जाता है, मतलब इसकी क्या खासियत है। तो हनुमान जी ने बोला देखिए, मैं राम जी को याद करता हूँ वो तो ठीक है, राम जी तो ठीक, पर राम जी सुग्रीव को याद करते हैं, ये सुग्रीव की खासियत है, तो वो भी सेवा के लायक है। सुग्रीव को डरा दिया गया, सुग्रीव आया, सुग्रीव ने क्षमा मांगी, सुग्रीव ने 4 दल बनाए और उनको चारों दिशाओं में भेज दिया, और उनको बोला, खुद को तो 4 महीने दिए थे, उनको 1 ही महीना दिए, कि 1 महीने में जो पता लगा के आ जाएगा तो ठीक है, और 1 महीने के ऊपर अगर किसी को पता ना लगा और वो वापस आया, निराश वापस आया, तो उसको हम मार देंगे। तो अब ये जो सुग्रीव का हाल है ना, यही हमारा भी हाल है। जैसे ही हमें माया दिखती है, हम माया के साथ बह जाते हैं, भगवान को भूल जाते हैं, बहुत जल्दी भूल जाते हैं। जैसे ही वो पत्नी मिल गई, राज्य मिल गया, अच्छे खाने अच्छे भवन मिल गए, गए भगवान। आप अपनी लाइफ देख लीजिए, एकदम साधना खत्म हो जाती है, सत्संग खत्म हो जाता है, अभी तो ये जरूरी है, अभी तो ये जरूरी है, अभी तो ये जरूरी है, हमारी सोशलाइजिंग जरूरी है, हमारी पार्टी जरूरी है, हमारा काम जरूरी है, काम नहीं करेंगे पैसे कहाँ से आएंगे। तो जैसे ही माया दिखती है, हम भी सुग्रीव की तरह हैं, हम सुग्रीव की तरह अपना गोल भूल जाते हैं, भगवान का कहा हुआ काम भूल जाते हैं। भगवान ने कहा भक्ति को ढूंढो, भक्ति को ढूंढना भूल गए, इधर उधर भटक गए, पर भगवान ने छोड़ा नहीं। फिर भगवान माया रचते हैं। क्या माया, लक्ष्मण जी को भेजा, डरा वापस आएगा, इतना मत डराना कि वापस ना आए, इतना ही डराना कि वो वापस आ जाए। हाथ खड़े करो, किस किस को भगवान ने डराया है ऐसे, रेज योर हैंड, रेज, रेज। फिर कुछ ट्रेजेडी हो जाएगी, फिर किसी की तबीयत खराब हो जाएगी, फिर काम छूट जाएगा, कुछ ना कुछ होगा, डराएंगे भगवान। और फिर हम वापस चलेंगे, हाँ हाँ अब 1 महीना में ढूंढ देंगे। चलो, आई लीव दैट थॉट विद यू, थिंक डीपली अबाउट इट। और जहां तक स्वभाव और प्रभाव की बात है, लक्ष्मण जी बहुत ही क्यूट हैं। एक, जब समुद्र के किनारे बैठे हुए थे, सारी अ, योजना बन रही थी कि इसको समुद्र को कैसे पार करेंगे, तो भगवान गए कि 3 दिन तक उन्होंने उपवास रखा, ये कहानी है। लंका जाने के लिए समुद्र आता है ना, तो समुद्र के पास, समुद्र को क्रॉस करना एक बहुत बड़ा, एक पूरी सेना के लिए समुद्र को क्रॉस करना बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज है। तो भगवान बैठे कि मैं जाके रिक्वेस्ट करता हूँ समुद्र से कि ये जगह दे दें, जिससे निरंजन का क्वेश्चन आएगा कि उनको मालूम भी था कि वो भगवान है, कि जगह दे दें और हमें जाने दें। तो 3 दिन बैठे भगवान वहां पे समुद्र के तट पे, 3 दिन बैठे। अ, तो जब वो वापस आए, वो 3 दिन खत्म हो गए और उन्होंने फिर बाण चढ़ाया, और बाण चढ़ाने की वजह से समुद्र उबलने लगा। और समुद्र के देवता आए और उन्होंने बोला, आप नल और नील को बोलिए कि वो पत्थर डालेंगे आपका नाम, जहां लिखा होगा हम वो पत्थर डूबने नहीं देंगे। तो खैर ये पूरा हो गया, काम बन गया। और भगवान वापस आए अपने कैंप में। तो उन्होंने पूछा, ये 3 दिन जब मैं नहीं था कुछ और हुआ? तो सुग्रीव ने बताया कि प्रभु, गुप्तचर आए थे लंका से। There were some spies who came from लंका। गुप्तचर आए थे लंका से। क्या? वानर का वेश बना के आए थे, बंदर का मुंह बना के आए थे, हमने उन लोगों को पकड़ लिया। उनके साथ रावण का भाई भी था। और हम सब चाह रहे थे कि उसका उसी समय वध कर दिया जाए, पर लक्ष्मण जी ने हमें रोक के रखा है कि जब भगवान आएंगे तब भगवान उसका डिसीजन देंगे। उनको आतिथ्य की तरह, गेस्ट की तरह उनको ठहराया हुआ है। तो भगवान मन में सोच रहे हैं कि वरना तो ये सारे टाइम दुनिया को प्रभाव प्रभाव दिखाता है, जब मैं नहीं था तब स्वभाव पे ध्यान गया कि राम जी क्या करेंगे। तब लक्ष्मण जी ने विभीषण को मारा नहीं, वरना तो वो सारे टाइम मारने के लिए तैयार रहते हैं। मारने के लिए तभी तैयार रहते हैं जब सामने राम जी खड़े हों। वो उठ गए परशुराम जी को सुनाने के लिए, खड़े हो गए। मैं बताता हूँ, उठ गए सुग्रीव को मारने के लिए। किसी को भी मारने के लिए लक्ष्मण जी तभी उठते हैं जब भगवान सामने हो। जब भगवान सामने नहीं थे तो शांत। Another thing you need to deeply deeply think about, कि अग्रेशन तभी जरूरी है जब भगवान साथ में खड़े हो। चलिए, आई लीव यू विद दोज टू थॉट्स, द स्टोरी अबाउट सुग्रीव एंड ऑफ कोर्स भगवान का प्रभाव और भगवान का स्वभाव। दोनों में से क्या याद रखने वाली चीजें हैं? जब प्रभाव साथ में हो, जब प्रभाव साथ में हो तब स्वभाव को पकड़ के चलो। All right, let you go very late today. I'm really sorry. We'll come back again next time. Mrinalini, any thoughts?
Namaste, Didi. No, today is a blank. I was absorbing everything that everybody was saying, and thank you to Pulkit for sharing his experience and saying that I'm in college. I'm hoping ki Devika and Anvi, who were in the car with me, heard that ki this is not only meant for 40 plus people. There are young people who are listening and sharing their experiences. So thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste. Didi, can I talk to you for a minute?
हाँ बेटा।